Welcome back. It's now 24 minutes after 8, time for your money. Now, with politicians maintaining hardline positions and the Supreme Court preparing to deliver its verdict in less than 7 days, it appears like the electioneering period is far from over. But the economic effects are far-reaching. Kenyans are feeling the pinch as the economy bleeds from its very core. Employers are considering massive layoffs, businesses are closing down, and those still standing are making huge losses. Ultimately, Kenyans are left with no option but to stare at hard times ahead. What has your experience been, and is there a better way to survive during such times? Welcome to Your Money. This is Morning Express, and to drive this conversation, I have Washeke Ndwati, a financial expert from Centonomy, and Rose Ntonungondu, an entrepreneur who has seen and felt the effects of this prolonged electioneering period. Welcome, ladies. And well, let's start first of all with you, Rose, as one who is an entrepreneur, and just give us your experience of this protracted electioneering period. What is it that you've had to go through?
For me, it's been pretty hard, number one, because my business is makeup. So we provide makeup services and training. So you see, we had staff, students, and me caught in between all this. And to make it even worse, my business is just opposite the IEBC. So like the tear gas, we were used to that like every day until we had to shut down. So you see, for me, the way it affected me, I had staff to pay, I had rent to pay. You know, so my staff could not even get out of their house, and if they came to View Park Towers, to the business, they could not get out. So at times I had to even get them a cab to take them home. So it was pretty difficult. And then clients stayed away from the business because that area was a hotspot. You know, so it's been pretty bad, and it's picking up slowly. But the way I feel, it's like it's going to take a long time for things to get back to normal.
All right. So you've said it's View Park Towers, so that's right in the central business district.
Yes.
And would you consider your business a luxury kind of business now that it is makeup, or?
Yes, it is. It is, and the other thing is, these days, beauty is a necessity to women, okay? So it's more than luxury. And for us, we have clients who come to us like daily before they go to work, so they could not. So they were actually really affected. And if they came, they were at times unable to get out because the running battles with the police had just started. And then, you know, the way it worked is that cops do not look at who's protesting, and they do not.
Who's going about their normal business,
So clients were cancelling. Like we had to shut down for like 3 weeks, and I still had to pay my staff. It's really, really affecting.
So have you had to close the business down completely, or have you?
Not completely.
Not completely.
We've reopened. We reopened a few days after the elections, but still it's not the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how have you managed to survive? You've mentioned that you closed for 3 weeks. I mean, that 3 weeks, I imagine, especially with the kind of industry you're in, it's more, you rely on traffic. People literally coming in, using your service and being paid. How have you managed to survive?
Okay, I had some savings. And then I had to do other things on the side. I had to go mobile to be able to survive and to be able to pay my staff. Because at the end of the day, they're using transport, they have to eat, you know, they have rent to pay. So it's been, like for me, I've been really badly hit. And it's not only me, the beauty industry has been badly affected. I'm actually better off because I have a physical location. Those people who are mobile, their business was dead.
Completely shut down.
Yeah, so you had to, in terms of marketing, you have to be very aggressive. And people are like, it's elections. Why everyone on Facebook is talking about elections and this and that? Why are you talking business? Because I have to survive. I have to make that.
All right, finally, before I come to Washeke and maybe just get an idea of how to basically, you know, navigate this kind of situation. As a business person, of course, politics is an important part of your life by virtue of the fact that the leaders we have will affect the kind of environment we have economically. But when it's so protracted, what are your feelings? Now, when you even see we've got the Supreme Court ruling that is pending, and we could go back to the elections depending on which way it's ruled, how does that leave you as an individual feeling?
For me, what I can say is before the elections, I was following politics keenly, and I was actually even taking sides. Right now, it's gotten to a point where I am so tired, I just want Raila and Uhuru to go. I seriously want them to go. Because the way I feel as a business person, they do not care about the mwananchi. They only care about power. For them, it's not about leadership. They are not leaders. They are just power-hungry I don't know.
Individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Washeke, does this sound like a familiar story when it comes to our environment right now, economically speaking?
Absolutely, and I'm not talking just as a financial aspect. I'm also talking, I can relate to it because I'm an entrepreneur. Because at Centonomy, we actually train, and one of the trainings we do is we work with businesses to train them. So it is a very frustrating environment. And I think as an entrepreneur, what you look at is the customer and the customer's purchasing decision. So what is happening now for a lot of businesses, the customer, it's a lot harder for them to spend money. Yeah. So, but I think as entrepreneurs, we always have to go back to, and like her, at the time I was watching politics, but now I've decided I actually don't watch politics.
You block it off completely?
I block it off completely because I realized for me to survive, I have to deal with what I call what is my circle of influence? I also have staff to pay. I have clients to service. So every day, let me go and access the information. Let me access the conversations that are actually helping me go forward. And a lot of times, that's what's wrong. We are also sitting together, talking politics, feeling bad, and we carry that same energy back to our businesses. So sometimes we can't even see what is the solution or what can I do about it? So my advice to anyone, always ask yourself every day, what can I do? Can I approach a client differently, like what you're saying? Do we go mobile? Those are the things to start understanding. And many times when we've been working with businesses, the very reasons why they're having problems now is also the things they didn't take care of when things were good. Because when things are smooth and things are flowing, there are certain things we also don't do as businesses to start preparing us for this. Number one, do you get too comfortable in the way you're delivering your product or service that you don't look for places to innovate? Like Rosie is saying, now do we go mobile? Mobile, was that probably a product or service that we could have? Were there other products? Have you listened to research from your customers? When we started Centonomy, we started with just one product, the personal financial training course. But as we listened to our customers and got feedback, they're like, we want our kids to also do personal finance training. So we have a university program and we have a teenagers program. Then we also have an entrepreneurship program. So as much as it's still difficult, it's still harder to get the customer in through the door, at least we've diversified the product offering. And I guess for now, customers, it's understanding they're seeing value differently. Because it's harder for them to spend money, we as entrepreneurs also have to realize you have to sell value differently to them. So maybe is my value proposition, your value proposition in this time has to change. So you can't sell the same way you were selling 6 months ago. So you've got to, I think, sometimes deal with the elephant in the room. The elephant is elections. And let me just give you an example we've done. There's a training contract that has been delayed for us. And the client is elections. So we've sat back and said, imagine we're going to die if we go on like this, yeah?
If we keep waiting.
If we keep waiting, what is the value proposition we can sell the client? So instead of getting one big contract, we have actually split it into, instead of the 100 people we wanted from you, let us start with the 20 people. And even in that training that we're going to offer to your people, we're going to tackle this psychological impact of people are feeling fearful and whatever. So we've added that into the training, and for the client, they're seeing you're actually addressing my problem, because also my employees are coming to work feeling despondent. So apart from personal financial training, you have also put in your package something that is going to address the issue that we are facing.
Contextualizing your products to the time.
Contextualizing to the time. So I think even for, as I was hearing you, Rosie, it's telling, I know your clients are scared of elections, etc., but it's hitting the nail on the head with them. You're like, I know you're scared because it's elections, but as you said, people still want to look good. Yeah. So how do you turn that messaging into something that they can relate to?
All right, and I'll come to you, Rose, in regards to, because we don't live in a vacuum. So you'll find even your members of staff are affected by what's going on by virtue of the fact they also have sides. And you cannot ignore the fact that they also come with that negative energy or positive energy, whichever way it goes. But we'll come to that. But let's listen into what some Kenyans had to say from various parts of the country in regards to the pinch that they have felt with the protracted electioneering period.
And life must go on, because everybody is afraid of investing. There are no investors. Even the people who used to walk in are not there. The tenders are on the low. We're not getting any tenders. So we would like to urge the government to finish this issue of politics, and life can get back to normal.
The politics have really affected us, and we don't like that. Now they have a second petition. They have to go to Supreme Court again. So you see, when those things are happening, the customers feel insecure automatically. Even us now, we have to wait. We are staying here. Most of the customers are not coming in.
Most of the business, they are gone down, and like everything is gone down. And the financial status, everybody is down, according to the status. So my opinion to those politicians, I just ask them to come together and make a dialogue so that they can unite the country and the people of Kenya.
Economically, we are down, and I think these two big heavyweights should actually leave the race and for others to lead, because it seems nobody wants to go down. So on my side, I wish to tell and ask my fellow Kenyans to please look just for another person, because these two candidates seem to be taking us for a ride. We are not even paying house rent. We are failing to even produce food on the table.
Hizi vitu za election zimetu affect sana, especially mimi. Mimi sasa niko na watoto 5 na school fees imenishinda. Ukienda leo bei ni, ukirudi kesho bei nyingine imepanda.
We have no money, we have families to take care of, we have children to take to school. And the country, the way it's heading to, I don't think we are going to have any solution because of the two people that are actually the main participants and protagonists in the Kenyan political scenario today. So I just hope that they will reach a moment whereby patriotism will surpass everything that goes with personal interests, and we shall have a place whereby we shall we ought to have to think about a nation rather than an individual.
All right, so that's what Kenyans had to say. And I saw Rose, somebody there was agreeing with you that let's just get rid of all these people. And that seems to be the general feeling.
Yeah.
But how have you cushioned your business? I don't know how many employees you have, but they all come, they're not living in a vacuum. So they're living in this same environment where, you know, politics is going in, and looking at social media, people have literally taken sides and are very passionate about what they believe in. How have you managed to keep that away? Because it could also affect your clientele. I mean, if you're doing somebody's hair and there are 2 of your employees may be exchanging jabs, that could affect the client to a point where they feel, I don't want to be in this kind of space or environment.
Like what I realized, especially with my students, you know, they're from different tribes. Actually, some of them started those issues. They would look at the news and start arguing. But with my employees, we started doing sit-downs and talking and seeing where we've come from. And I just recently, just like a week before the elections, I opened another branch in Mombasa. That's been really affected, badly affected, because the employees are new, and then one of my employees was directly affected because her place was really badly hit. So we actually had to shut down for a while again. But in Nairobi, and my staff, what we do, I make a point of every day we just talk. And every other week we have a meeting. Every Monday we have a meeting where we sit down and see where we are. We actually even talk about politics. It makes them feel at home, where they can air their concerns. They tell me what they're going through. And thank God for me, we've not had that, you know. And you can tell when someone is going through something hard. So I just ask them, we just talk it out. So I think for employers, the other thing is you need to realize your employees are still people. You don't only look at yourself. You have to realize they're also going through stuff, because some of them come through very, very not safe areas. So in terms of business, I feel that even businesses need to take a different turn in the way they deal with their employees. Because right now, things are completely, totally different. You can actually even see when clients are coming in and they know I'm of this tribe, they're actually very cautious. Even the way they talk to you, and they'll ask you, who do you recommend to do my makeup and stuff like that. So we try and make them feel at home.
At home.
Yeah.
Osheke, how important is it within a business structure to ensure that we still remain human? Because we tend to think sometimes as an entrepreneur, I am here to make money and it's business, you're an employee, so do what you have to do and, you know, get out of here. But at the end of the day, these are human beings with feelings, and they're going through the same feelings that the country is going through, and as a result, their delivery could be affected.
I think it's so important, and I think what we're going through is also teaching us as businesses, as the companies, even when I see big companies retrenching and all that, what we're being affected is by people not treating people as people. People treating people as numbers, and you're here to provide me with a result, and that's it.
Certain targets, and that's it.
Yes, but I think what we're finding as entrepreneurs is developing the right culture in your business is very important. So sometimes culture has been ignored, and culture is just the way people relate with each other, the way they relate with customers. So understanding what is going to, this may be happening outside, but once we walk in through this door, what is the company culture? What does that look like? Are we going to operate like a family? Are we going to operate this way? How are we going to treat people? And if you decide that's the culture, when we come here, there shouldn't be no people fighting because they have different beliefs about different things. So it's being very vocal about that, but it all comes down to, and what I encourage everyone to do, this is what we are doing. Despite what is happening, we're saying, what is our plan for next year? What is our strategy? What is our vision? And I think culture and how you treat people internally is a huge part of what the vision is. And I don't think, just because we're in a tough time right now, and I agree with what everybody, all those business people are saying, it is hard. And we're not taking away the fact that it is harder than it was 6 months ago or a year ago. But it should not stop anyone from deciding and saying, it is hard, but what is still my vision? What is still my plan? What is still my purpose? I think God still has a plan and purpose for this country, so he has a plan and purpose for every one of us.
Let's come to the nuts and bolts, because at the end of the day, you can be as humane as you like, you can serve coffee and give people lunch and all that, but at the end of the day, what they will need to take home is a salary.
Yes.
And as an entrepreneur, without that money coming in, somehow you cannot pay them. With time, you'd have to shut down. And some have actually got to a point where they've shut down. How do you cushion yourself from times like this, which are beyond your control, and you cannot even tell how long they're going to be? And it doesn't have to be politics. Could be we have rains and people don't come to town, or a certain part of town is shut down such that people cannot access. How does a business cushion itself from this kind of events?
Two ways. If you remove election, and what I suggest to every business, I know election has affected it, but if you remove election as the reason, what are the fundamental issues that are going on in the business? Because from everyone we've talked to and taught in our class, when we remove elections, because blaming elections makes it all too easy for us not to face the fundamental problem going on in the business. So a couple of things have happened to people. Number one, they find they were reliant on only one client or one type of client. I have someone in our class who realized they were reliant on a supermarket. As you rightly said, it may not be elections. It could be that client cannot pay you for 360 days. But the fundamental problem is not that the client can pay you. The fundamental problem is that you are reliant on that one or two or three clients. So go back and say, what is going to be my business model going forward? Because whether it's elections, whether it's a client that can't pay, whether it's an economic shock, interest rates of some sort or the other, the cycle of life and the cycle of any economy is that these shocks will be there. Am I making my business shock-proof? That's what people should be asking. So shock-proof, number one, look at your business model. So you have your key source of income, but are there other revenue streams that you can diversify into? Are there products you could be selling online where the customer is not reliant on you? Are there other forms of revenue, such that if you build yourself a YouTube profile, you could be getting advertising revenues that is not based on elections? Someone there in one of the videos said the customer is no longer coming to us. That's a pointer. Why are you always waiting? Are you reliant on a customer coming to you? Is there a model of you going out to the customer? When there is revenue, people tend to spend all the money in the business. So when there is revenue, we are paying people very well, and even as an entrepreneur, we are indisciplined about money. One of the mistakes people make is that as the entrepreneur, they don't pay themselves because they always say, I'm not going to pay myself. What a lot of entrepreneurs are finding, had I paid myself, I would have at least have had some personal savings, which can sustain me in the 3-6 months of this shock. And even as the business is back on its feet and is making money, let the business also have reserves, such that you're not making you're not using a short-term situation to make long-term decisions that could have an impact into your business. So going for that's the way, but I think one of the things I'll emphasize here is businesses always need to look at ways of innovating. Innovating doesn't stop because today my customer is buying the product properly. Innovating should be a continuous and it's about getting feedback from the customer. I know you loved my product or service. What could I have done better? Is there a more convenient way I could have delivered this to you? What else would you have liked? So I think as part of that's also culture. having that within the business context, having that, treat your customer as a human being, not a note, not money as well. Talk to this human being. What else would they have liked? And a lot of businesses find they are providing this one service, but there's another maintenance. Maybe you're getting a contract from this company, but there's another, they'll pay you 5,000 shillings per month maintenance to do something extra for them. Maybe if you have 10 of those such clients, at least you know irrespective of the shocks, you have your 50,000 shillings coming in. So I really think it's time for entrepreneurs to think outside the box. And even in crises, Michael, there's always opportunity.
Correct.
The opportunity of this election period for businesses is to actually take stock. What went wrong? What can I do? What are the structures that I need to set up in the process? I'm finding a lot of people, their fundamental problem was also they were the only ones capable of running the business. So when these shocks happened, when they needed to go the extra mile, they didn't have capacity, structures or processes of people who can say, you take care of what we were doing yesterday while I figure out and go after what comes in tomorrow.
Rose, let me come to you. And as we wind up, what is your take-home lesson of this whole situation as an entrepreneur? What is it that you can say, if this happens in another 5 years, because we don't know how it's going to go, what is it that you would have learned from this election that you would not want to repeat next time, or to be repeated on your business next time?
Number one, I'll have planned myself. I'll have saved better. That's one thing that we did not foresee what was going to happen, because like for me, we had products that we had ordered before the election, so they were stuck, and the client had already paid. So we went in trouble with the client asking for a refund. We had products that we had taken, had not paid for. We had no one to sell to in that period. Whoever sold it to us wants her money, and we still have the products. So for me, I think in the next 5 years, I'll be better prepared, and I think I'll have, I can say, better insurance for my company, because it's been badly hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that an option possibly that you had not thought about, especially insurance?
Yes.
Not many people think about insurance until it's too late.
Yes. Yes.
So you see the value that it would bring?
Yes, completely. And even for my employees, I'll better prepare my employees for something like this.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Washeke, as we wind up, help us possibly view this differently, because like you mentioned, there's always an opportunity. And allow me to use even a story in the Bible where Isaac literally planted when it was drought season, and he harvested major because nobody else had planted at that time. What can entrepreneurs at this point in time, apart from stock taking, learn and possibly use it as a period where you now launch onto other things?
Okay. I just want to leave people thinking, your customers, in this hard environment, as everybody has said, where I would have spent 1,000 bob, it is harder to get me to spend the same 1,000 bob. That is what is happening. So for your customer, it's harder to get them to spend the same 1,000 bob. So you cannot be communicating your value the same way. So you've got to go back and say, what is we call it value proposition, but it's in essence, it's saying, what is the problem I am solving for the customer? So maybe my customer needs a problem solved a different way because of what is happening, or communicated differently. So go back and say, what is the value I am now selling the customer? Number two is to understand that whether it's elections, whether it's a client that we go back, whether it's the economy, whether it's the interest rates, hard times are not a surprise. Yeah, and sometimes we do treat them as a surprise. And of course, this has been protracted, so it is very frustrating, yeah? But hard times are not as a surprise. So in your planning for your business, in your strategy, always ensure that you are planning for hard times, and even communicate it to your employees and say, we are going through good times, but even people be aware hard times may come. How are we actually planning for them? And thirdly is to, I think a lot of people are thinking they have failed. That's another reason where a lot of businesses are shutting down, simply because they have believed they have failed. And I think the world has defined success as money in the bank.
Correct.
So it does not matter what your business has done, as long as today you do not have money in the bank, you convince yourself you're a failure. And sometimes there are hard choices that need to be made. Maybe you need to move venue. It's teaching you this venue does not work. Maybe I need to scale down. It's okay. And I just want to let everyone know it's okay. This Centronome is my third business. I have failed in 2 businesses, so I know this lesson of failure very well. Yeah. So I think society has cheated us that if you fail, then you are a failure. Give up, yeah? But failure is a gold mine in itself. It always teaches you what is the lesson. Maybe it's telling me approach the client a certain way. Maybe it's telling me maybe it's not this business that is for me. I should go somewhere else. But don't treat success as because there's no money in the bank. You have grown, you have learned, you've had some impact of some sort, you're able to deal with the risk differently, maybe you're seeing certain things. So let us allow ourselves to take the lesson in and not define ourselves as failure, because as we as SMEs start defining ourselves as failures, even the economy suffers. We are the greatest employer of this economy, SMEs, yeah? So I want everyone out there, don't fail, don't get discouraged. You have to change path. It is okay. And just to add on to that, I think it is extremely important for business people to get a network of people who understand what you are going through. One of the things I think you may agree we face is loneliness. Yeah. We don't have people to talk to. True. So that forging relationships and networks of people who understand where you're going, what you have been through, and can give that insight is very important.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning on Your Money. And definitely I feel more empowered, and I'm sure our viewers also feel empowered. Given the hard times, there is still a chance that you can take advantage of these hard times and do well. Rose Ntongondu, who is an entrepreneur, and Washeke Ndwati, who's a financial consultant with Centonomy. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, it's now 10 minutes to 9, time for us to wind up the show and take this opportunity to thank you for watching and staying with us. For now, we want to say goodbye, but do stay with us on KTN News. We've got News Center coming up with Betty Kialo, who's going to be taking up the reins and giving you more news and reviews. Do have yourselves a wonderful day. Let's meet tomorrow, God willing, bright and early.